Hello everybody, good to see you. I know you're stuck in your house, but while you're stuck in your house, let me tell you, there's a movie that you gotta see on Lifetime. It's the Clark Sisters. It's amazing, and oh my goodness, I'm going to get all in this movie. So if you haven't seen the movie already on Lifetime, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to go ahead and push the pause button, stop button, go watch the movie and come back and check out the video. If you're still watching, that means you've seen the video and you already know that we're going to dive into scenes right now. Also, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up button if you like it, and definitely leave some comments because this is what I do. You know, I'm going to answer questions that you guys have. We can get into other topics. I love discussion. It'll be great. All right. So here we go. So let's talk about the Clark Sisters. First of all, the Clark Sisters are an amazing gospel group. They are legends to this day, and to see their life in their movie, it's amazing. Let's also talk about the fact that they have overcome a lot of challenges. One of them being in the fact that they were in a home where they saw and were exposed to domestic violence. Let's talk about the fact that they're women. Let's talk about the church, talk about all of that. And let's talk about the fact that y'all keep getting on Dr. Maddie Moss Clark. I gotta comment on this because y'all are a trip. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Dr. Maddie did leave an impression on me and a lot of people on social media. I love it. I love the fact that she was always herself. She was getting on her kids. You know, I know y'all, we laughed about the part where she pulling out pants. Pants somehow equates to smoking reefer and weed. I don't know if that's the case. I need to check every client I have to see what it is they smoking. But that's not the point. The point is you guys are talking about her parenting and you're blaming her for some of the things that happened with some of the other Clark sisters. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about first Dr. Maddie Moss Clark. Listen. You have to understand that during her time, it is difficult. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. It's still difficult to be a woman, and it's still difficult to be a black woman at that. So let's talk about the fact of first that her name starts with doctor. That means Dr. Maddie ain't about jokes and games to begin with. She's already a pioneer in the era that she's coming in. But let's also keep in mind the era that she's coming in, women are not respected at all, right? You guys remember the scene where she's at the church, she's in front of the bishops, and listen, there's a room full of men, you know, making a decision on this woman's life. You saw also that even within her marriage, you know, her husband is expecting her to be a first lady and to do certain things. She has ambition, and ambition in her time is not a good thing. So also understand that the parenting of her girls comes from the mindset of she wants something different for them, which means she is pushing extra hard for them to do certain things, right? And yes, okay, so we had things like, you know, we saw with Twinkie and some of the things that happened to her, and Denise and some of the things that happened to her, and everybody's saying, well, it's mama's fault. But we also got to keep in mind that, well, what about the other sisters? The other sisters had the same parenting and the same mother. What are the differences between the two? So let's talk about that. The real difference in between all of this is not the parenting. The difference is the capabilities of resilience. Those are the things that are different within the Clark sisters and are given the different dynamics. So let's talk about this. What are some of the traits of resilience that we're seeing or we're not seeing? One of those traits is the ability to separate your identity from who you are from what you've experienced. So the two have to be separate, right? Anytime someone is dealing with some form of trauma, or you're just, maybe it's your job, right? Some people can't separate who they are from what they do. That then is a problem. It's going to cause you to have difficulty being resilient. And we see this. We see this because, yes, I will say Twinkie and Dr. Maddie are enmeshed in a sense. And because of that enmeshment, they're having a difficult time living apart, right? So when it comes to Twinkie, like y'all saw the scene where she rolled up in her brand new car. I think it was a Lincoln, right? Y'all let me know if I'm right on that, but I believe, if I remember correctly from the movie, it was a Lincoln. She was excited about that car until she got in the house and told everybody she sold her songs, and everybody was mad at her. But understand where the behavior comes from. The behavior comes from Twinkie at that point is trying to separate. She's trying to get a different identity. And right now she's so stuck being a Clark sister and being in that world that she doesn't have her own identity. We also see this with Denise. Denise is doing certain behaviors because she is trying to establish her own identity. Okay, and yes, they're not doing it in the most healthy way, but this is, like I said, some of the differences between the resilience factor going on with some of the other sisters. They were able to identify and become their own person in a different way, separating what they've experienced with who they are. One of the other signs of resilience is self-awareness, the ability to be aware of your strengths and things that you could be weak at. And some of the Clark sisters were good at that, and some of them not as great at. I think there's a scene with Karen, and it's right before she's getting ready to get engaged to, you know, her future husband, where she's self-aware of her life experience, and she's saying, "Oh, wait a minute, you're gonna be a pastor? Well, let's talk about that, because my mama, you know, married a pastor, and she didn't want to be a first lady, and that caused some problems. Is that something, like, I'm talking to you about this because I don't want to go and fall into the same pattern," right? That's a good dialogue to have. That means Karen, in this sense, was very self-aware of her upbringing, what she experienced, and what she wants and what she does not want. Very good example of it, okay? The other thing that makes people resilient is acceptance. Being able to understand that through life, you're going to have ups and downs, and through those ins and outs, ups and downs, that you have to keep living, you have to keep pursuing, you have to keep being resilient in that process. So let's talk about that. Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, acceptance. She understood life had ups and downs, and she kept right on rolling. She did not let anything, not the church, not her marriage, stop her from ensuring that her girls were good to go and that they were going to have good lives. And the same thing I have to give all the Clark sisters credit for is that throughout this whole experience, the things that they saw with their dad, the flack that they were getting back from the church, they never let this steer their faith. They all still have really good faith. They continue to sing gospel music. And I think this is wonderful. It's acceptance, right? It's understanding that these are the things that we deal with in life, and that life, as long as we're living, there's going to be ups and downs, but we can get through them. So very inspiring story from the legends themselves, the Clark sisters. Y'all make sure y'all check out the movie, and listen, make sure once again that you give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you leave some comments. I can't wait to see them in dialogue, and I will see you again.